Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. We have a fascinating guest to chat with you today, but before we get into her introduction and her story, please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. I want to give a shout out to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. Thank you, Nick Menard.
You're very welcome. Hello, Will. Hello, winners.
Hello, hello. So would you like the honors of introducing our guest?
Absolutely. I cannot wait. So let me introduce you to Melissa Rodway. She's a Canadian storyteller whose lifelong love of adventure was sparkled by childhood travels across Australia and beyond. From road trips to paragliding, she's most alive when exploring the world and the unknown. Through a podcast host Fly Travel Radio, she invites fellow travelers to share real, inspiring stories that reminds us adventure exists everywhere, even in our own backyard. She's also the author of The People You Meet. So without further ado, let me introduce you all to Melissa Rodway. How are you doing, Melissa?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much. That's an awesome introduction. I was like, who's that person?
Surprise!
They sound pretty cool.
So basically, before we start, I always like to do a quick introduction, but I want to give you the opportunity in your own word to introduce yourself and what your passions is and what you like to share with the audience, because that's what's most important to me. So I give you the floor right now.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to meet the two of you. I think I'm a pretty ordinary person, to be honest, who just likes to do fun things. So I'm an example of having a fairly normal day-to-day life, and then I just take advantage of, the holidays when I can, and I have taken a few extended periods of time off out of my life to do some big trips, but I'm kind of here to tell you that everyone can have adventures no matter what they look like, and it's not just for people that you think are very different from you. We all have an adventurous side to us, so you just have to find what works for you. So that's me in a nutshell. I think you captured everything else.
Well, I like to hear that. Thank you so much. But I do have so many questions because, I encourage everybody to go check our website. It's going to be on the description below. But I want to make sure to understand, you've been to pretty neat places, not the basic place that most people, we live in Florida, so they go to, cruising and going to Mexico, DR and things like that. But you've been to fantastic remote place. So if you can share with us a couple of those places you went to and why and what the experience looked like.
Sure. So, I guess to me, they're not so remote, but I guess you're right. Like sometimes you forget that for other people, they see things a little bit differently. So I thank you for that. Let's see, where have I been? In the book we'll talk about later, I was in Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, and China. Outside of that, I've been to Jordan, I've been to Nepal, I've been to a lot of Central America, like, Nicaragua and places like that. And I've seen quite a bit of South America as well. And I'm now starting to dabble into Europe, which was never big for me, but as an adult, now I'm 50, so I'm maturing, and
You're just born.
yeah,
You're just born.
in many ways, yes. Yeah, like there's parts of Europe that are very intriguing to me as well. So, it depends, right? What's like interesting to people and what's the exotic. It's different for everybody, I would say.
So what makes you choose a destination? Maybe it's a good start because you mentioned Cambodia, Vietnam, and things like that. And that's literally where my focus is. The last few episodes actually is where I share with the audience that it's literally my focus because I sell more and more those areas. And I want to experience it myself because I've been to all over Europe, North Africa, a lot of places in America. But I never been to those places. And I'm fascinated by the picture and video that I receive from clients going there. So what makes you think, let's go to Cambodia, for example, or Vietnam? So, and what did you do there? Did you do like backpacking and just experience that, or you just do everything like planned in advance?
Okay, well, let's just dive right into my book then, shall we?
Here we go.
That is what this book is about, the people you meet. And the fun subtitle is Luxury, Leeches, Love, and Lao Lao with a host of interesting characters in Southeast Asia. So here's the story. In 2010, I had a partner who worked in luxury travel, and he wanted to go on a very, very big expedition through those countries to make connections with people in the luxury hotel industry. And he was also researching routes. So I'm not an idiot. I was like, I'm coming. And yeah, so I quit my job and
Oh,
off
wow.
we went. So that's how I ended up in that part of the world. And I'd always wanted to see it. I had not been. I had been in Australia and Bali when I was younger, but I had never been to that part of Southeast Asia and that part of the world. And so, yeah, basically, I was the tag along, and we went through these countries, and I was just like observing things I was seeing, doing, feeling, the people I was meeting. And then I was sending these emails back to family and friends. While on very long bus rides, I started getting a little bit bored in my mind. So I started creating these stories, and then years later, I'd turn them into a book. But yeah, it's a fascinating part of the world, and people love Thailand for obvious reasons. That's what you hear about the most. But Cambodia actually was the country that grabbed my heart out of all of those places. It's really special. It's very magical. So I highly recommend you get to Cambodia.
That that's awesome. Go ahead.
No, that's fascinating. And I think, one of the things, if I could, I want to do it justice because when, we were finding out more about you and everything, and I was checking out the Instagram, there was a client testimonial that I hope you don't mind if I could read. I just thought it was like a fascinating way to talk about your Amazon best-selling book. And the testimonial is what I loved most is how the book balances it all. The humor, the heart, the grit, the beauty, her love for travel, and the people she meets along the way come through in every chapter. Made me want to be braver with my own travel plans, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe even embrace a little discomfort, knowing how rich those experiences can be. It's the kind of book that stays with you even after you landed. And so, I mean, we did an episode several weeks ago about solo travel because, obviously for various reasons, some people get nervous about solo travel. And here, somebody who it looks like you inspired, whether they solo travel or not, but if they did, seemed like it granted them the courage. So what do you think, like, helped foster that kind of response from one of your readers?
Well, thank you to that reader. That's a very nice review. Um, I think the way I write to people or the way I wrote this book and my writing style in general is very much directly to the reader. So when you read it, you will feel like you are there on the journey with me. And a lot of people have said, thank God you did that because I don't want to do a lot of the things that you did. You're welcome. Um, but I think when you write like that, and I'm very honest, I don't really hold back, and I like to use humor. I think that it humanizes the experience, and it makes you realize that I'm just like anybody else. I'm no better. I'm no different. And if I'm such a regular person, other people can do something like that too. I think that's why people are kind of drawn to my story and to me as when I was a host of my podcast because there are some intimidating people out there that have some adventures that are like pretty over the top and you think that they are these like superhumans, and some of them are, I'm gonna say, like, I interviewed someone that walked the length of Africa over 2 years. I have not done that. I didn't ride my bike home from China to Canada, but I have done some
Vacation.
interesting things that, maybe some people haven't done, but I think when you, like, you give it sort of a normal context, maybe that's the appeal that people have, and they can apply it to their own lives and, like, what is adventure for them and what's something that they could tackle. I think it's that. I think there is some empowerment and some inspiration in this book for people to relate it to their own lives.
Wow, I love that. And I I know you're very humble, Melissa, the way you talk. Like I'm very, very, normal person. But I can tell you, not a lot of people have the travel experience that you have, and you still have. Like you just shared that you're super young, so you still have a long time in front of you to do a lot of different travel. But I call myself well traveled, but I didn't do anything close to what you did. So you're very humble, but you mentioned that you want to inspire people by doing this book, but is this the number one reason why you did that? So you did it for other reason, like maybe to be able to maybe get some interaction back from clients with maybe location you never been, or is there literally for the inspiration part of it that you did that book?
I think I did it just because I had to do it, for myself. That book took 15 years to make.
Oh
So
wow.
I did that trip in 2010, and I battled for many years. I was in, I was out, in, out. Do I do this? Do I not do it? But when something is hanging over you, obviously have to do it. I didn't know what the reaction would be, but I felt like there was a story there that I had to share it and let the chips fall where they may. And I've been very lucky because the reaction has been very, very good. But you never know, and when I first put it out, for the first 3 weeks, I heard nothing from anybody, and I felt terrible. I'm just like, "What have I done? What have I said? Why did I do this? How stupid am I?" Because there's a lot in there that's pretty vulnerable. So, and then people started actually reading it, and the response was very good. So, I think you don't really do these things with any intended outcome. It's just, it's always a surprise. Like the people that come up to me that read it are telling me things I wasn't prepared for, like good things, like what you're saying, like this inspired me, and I want to now have my own adventures. And I think it's also just the honesty parts. I don't know that everyone's super honest about really what they're going through, and I don't hold back from that. And I think it's that too. It's just relatability and telling it like it is. And the more we talk about the things we're uncomfortable with, the more we feel connected. So I think there's a lot more to this book than just the travel part. The travel parts are awesome. I'm not gonna say they're not. They're awesome. But, there's other stuff happening in this story for sure. So, yeah.
I think one of the things that you shared as well that was inspiring was the fact that you were presented an opportunity with your partner at the time, and you actually quit your employment at the time in order to do that. Not a lot of people will do that. So, I mean, are you just naturally somebody when you get presented something like that, you grab it, or was that kind of like an evolution in a way for you to take that leap and to have that kind of experience?
Um I've never loved my job, guys. That's
Yeah.
really the answer there.
Yeah.
So, I wasn't in love with what I was doing. It wasn't hard for me to walk away, and I had a lot of faith in the person I was going with, that I knew it was gonna be, a once in a lifetime opportunity and that I would regret it. But it's not easy. Um, it's not easy. It's fun in the moment. It's very liberating to like say, "Hey, I'm walking away. Who knows what's going to happen?" But you have moments even when you're away going, what am I going to come back to? I have no money. There's a lot of unknowns, and that is always in your head. So that part is not entirely easy, but, I think, yeah, it was worth it, but I knew that I was, like, with the right person to make such a leap with, so that part, was a no-brainer, but, it's not easy, though. That stuff is not easy.
No, but you did it,
I did it. Yeah.
and it's, that makes all the difference, to have that
Yeah.
experience. So you mentioned how you fell in love with Cambodia. Is there, one thing, because again, we have people who are always looking for different places to visit, like, what would be 1 or 2 things that you would be willing to share about Cambodia that you think maybe flies under the radar or people don't think about that resonated so strongly with you?
I think there's obvious things there. I mean, Angkor Wat is obviously why everyone is going there. But I think like a lot of countries, we focus on like if you go to Peru, everyone's talking about Machu Picchu, but there's so much more to Peru than Machu Picchu, to be honest. And it's the same with Cambodia. Angkor Wat is amazing. It's beautiful. You should see it. But, there's these countries are there's other things, and for me, Cambodia was the people. So, I hadn't learned a lot about the history of Cambodia before I'd went, and then I learned way too much. It's really upsetting about the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot and all these awful
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Um, and I have a friend who was born there at that time, and he escaped and lived in a Thai refugee camp. And I had no concept of this. I mean, I knew him in my 20s, and he never told us about it. And I didn't learn about it till this trip when I was 35. So I think, sorry, my phone just did that fun thing.
Don't worry about
I
it.
think that I think that that also changed things for me, but if I had known him or not, the people are so funny. They have an amazing sense of humor and they have this sparkle to them. And as we know, anyone who travels, it's always about the people. That's what is endearing for us as travelers. And they just have this magical quality. This is a country that has gone through hell and back, and they have worked through it and rebuilt, and they don't really want to be stuck in the past. They want to just move ahead. So there was a lot in that for me. And it's also just a really beautiful place. And I think it doesn't get enough attention. Like when people go to that part of the world, it's all about Thailand, it's all about Vietnam. But
Yeah.
Laos and Cambodia are just as fascinating and they don't get the credit I don't think that they deserve. And Cambodia, the food's also quite good there. So.
Mhm.
I was just going to ask you, that's a great lead in, like, because obviously the cuisine, there's some differences there. Was there anything that you considered very unique and took a leap of faith and tried over there?
I mean, in my book, I think I wrote about there's 3 unique dishes there. One of them is like, oh, you're testing me here. One of them I think is called like lok lak or something like that, but there's like a beef dish and a fish dish and something else, and made with like coconut milk, and everything there is fresh and delicious. And their food is a little bit different than say Thai food and Vietnamese
Mhm.
food. So there was something about, and I can't remember, so you should Google Cambodian cuisine because I'm not doing it justice. But there is some really delicious food there, and I did have the opportunity in Cambodia to go. We went to this area called Battambang, and it's actually famous for the bamboo train. I don't know if your clients have done
Oh,
that, but everyone must do that. Although it's terrifying, you should still do it. But in this town, there was this amazing guy. His name was like Batman from Battambang, and he took us around. He took us to a market, and we like were with him, saw him bartering like with
Mhm.
locals, which was really fun. And then we went back to his house and we had a cooking class. And I'm a terrible cook, but it was just so delicious. Like everything is just it bursts in your mouth there. The food in that part of the world is to die for. Maybe not in Laos so much, not in 2010, but the other 3 countries, yes, the food is very good.
Wow. Well,
uh,
it's about time to go eat. So, yeah, the appetite is
I
coming.
know, getting hungry, right?
But I want to turn into, like, of course, the people you meet. That's your book. But I want to ask you if there is one again. Everybody, please go buy Melissa's book. I'm gonna do the same as soon as I'm done here as well because I want to learn more about all that. But is there? It doesn't have to be in that area or from your book itself. But I know meeting people is something that's very high on your list when you travel different culture. Do you have one or two stories that you would love to share with the audience about people you may have meet and that you said that was outstanding and that's the reason why I continue to try to go to new destination to have those kind of meet up with people.
I think that um, the people part is it's a fascinating topic. I think you meet locals who become near and dear to your heart, and you meet other travelers that you never would have probably ever come across in your regular life, and you're open to people that you probably normally wouldn't hang out with. So there is something about that when you go away, all your guardrails go away. Where, let's face it, we all have judgment, we all have a bias. It's ingrained in us, but I feel like when you travel, it's the time where that sort of disappears, and I think that's what I like. It's this magic that you discover with people that you wouldn't in regular life. And sometimes I've looked around at a group of travelers that I'm with, and you would think, how did I ever stumble upon these people, and I'm having the time of my life, and you just can't imagine that. But certainly, yeah, I think you meet people that you feel like you've known forever. There's a different playing field with travelers. You're kind of like on this different playing field. But just quickly, you're going to read about this one woman in the book that I write about. She was in her 70s traveling alone through India, through China, through the countries that I was in as well. And when you meet people like that, I mean, traveling alone is hard enough as it is. I'm sure traveling alone as a woman in her 70s is a whole other story. So it's meeting people like that sometimes that are absolute legends. That doesn't mean that they're perfect. And like this woman drove me crazy, actually. But the fact that she was like out there doing it is something I will never forget. And a couple of years ago, I was in Bolivia, and I met this like 80 some odd years old guy from Australia, totally backpacking by himself. And yeah, so it's people like that that truly fascinate me, because those are the bravest, most courageous people out there. And there's a part of them that, like, you also feel like all of a sudden you have to look out for them and after them, and that's a whole other story. But I mean, I hope I'm still doing that at that age. So I've met people like that, that are just, yeah, they're legends, and people, they teach you stuff along the way. Like, the thing about these people is that when you're traveling, you're always still learning about yourself, and the people that are coming your way can trigger you or test you, or you fall in love with them within 30 seconds, and you have to ask why all the time, right? Why is this person impacting me like this? That to me is the most fascinating part of travel.
No, that sounds fantastic. And I hope you don't mind. I'm going to ask a question because I just think it'll bring to light a little bit more about you as a person and as an author. But as I was going through your Instagram, you mentioned you were going to Europe lately, and you were in the Italian Alps, and you're backpacking and biking. And then something happened that caused a little bit of a delay in your plans when you got gelato. And I didn't know if you want to share that story with our audience, because it actually was like brave how you came back from that experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
2 years ago, at the good old age of 48, I took a year off from work. This time I didn't quit. I worked it out with my I've gone smarter. And I had been in Europe for 2 months, and I had been like hiking in Turkey and cycling in Croatia and sailing in Montenegro. I've been doing all these things. And the last week of my trip, I was supposed to hike in the Dolomites in northern Italy. And I had been on my own, doing the Cinque Terre, so, that part of Italy, and I was not just doing the hikes between the villages, but hikes in the surrounding area, and it was very hot, and I thought, "You know what? I'm gonna take a day off and go to the beach and, like, do something other than hike." Well, that was a big mistake. So I'm a sucker for gelato. I'd probably had about 20,000 of them already that week, and I thought, I should have one more. So off I went into the store, and I was in there, missed a step, and fell and sprained my ankle so badly that Dolomites trip was never going to happen. So that was really upsetting, actually. And that's where I will tell everyone to have a lot of travel insurance, because it comes in handy. And then I went back 2 years later to do it because it had bothered me. But I mean, accidents happen, and they're very annoying. And, I did not need another gelato, I will tell you that.
No, but I think it's powerful. You had that experience and you came back because you're like
Mhm.
unfinished business, which is really
Yeah.
cool and inspiring, you know.
Yes, and in the same year, I also sprained my knee 4 days before I was supposed to go to Kilimanjaro. So I couldn't do that one either. I was at a wedding, at my brother's wedding, so I blame him, and if they ever get divorced, I will have a field day with that one. But, I overdid it. I'm from a small town, and we like to boogie and dance. I didn't make it there either. I have not gone to do that one yet, but that was another, like, twice in the same year, twice in less than 6 months.
Go
I
figure.
had 2 different injuries, so,
Wow.
things
Yeah.
happen.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, you went back, so it's good.
Yeah. The
I
moment.
I do have one more question, and then I know will have one last one for you as well because we're already almost on time. That's crazy.
Yeah. My son.
So you mentioned Europe. You know, like that's where you're going and you're focusing it right now. So tell us, what's your next one?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't really know. I have this feeling that it's like Scotland, Ireland. I've never been to that. I've been to England, but not the rest of it. But to be honest, like I feel like countries choose me, and I know that sounds very pretentious, but something will get into my nervous system, and I just know that's where I'm going. But certainly I have like things on my list I want to see, but I just have a feeling that's where I'm going. So I'll let
Well,
you know.
you cannot go wrong with that. Ireland, Scotland is gorgeous. You can, I mean, even definitely for someone like you who likes to go and take a backpack and then just go left and right because that's an easy country to travel around. So definitely you will have a lot of fun going there. I'm pretty sure. So that's a great destination. But you cannot go wrong going a lot of different places in Europe. Literally, I'm here now, so I'm not. You know, I left Europe, but I saw pretty much everything there, and there's a lot of fantastic place to go visit. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm from Belgium. Nobody's perfect.
Okay. So, yeah, one of the questions we always like to wrap up with is, what question did we not ask that you would have liked us to ask that you wanted to share with our audience?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You asked some pretty good questions. Um, I, I, oh, you could ask me. Yes, I like talking about this. You can ask me, the question of like, what kind of travel do you like to do? Because I think that's a very good question.
Okay.
So,
There you go. What kind of travel do you like to do?
thank you. Thank you for asking. Um, I think it's interesting because it changes, you know? I mean, back in the day in my 20s and 30s even, I just liked to travel for the sake of travel, and I drank a lot of beer and yeah, that was my introduction and I absolutely loved it. But I think as you get a little bit older, it starts changing. Your priorities change a little bit. And now my priority is active travel. So like hiking, cycling, all of that stuff. I love moving around countries with my own steam, and being outside all day is very, very important. Not that I don't still love like sort of old school travel, but yeah, I think that it's a different way of exploring places and being in the world, and being outside the whole time is you can't beat that. And I think that's something I'm seeing when I meet these older people too. Like, just it's so important to keep moving, keep your body going, and I just like that simplicity of like being outside all day, having a beer at the end, eating something, and going to bed at 8 o'clock with your book. I kind of like that. It's simple.
Nothing wrong about it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Well, I love that, and again, thank you, Melissa. I told Will that I think that we could have continue like talking to you for at least 30 minutes without any problem. I wanted to ask you other questions about the stand-up comedy that I saw online. I thought it was amazing, and I can see why. But it's gonna be maybe for another time. But thank you so much for joining us on Two for the Win today. I'm pretty confident that our audience or winners will love listening to this recording. And again, if you if you want to buy Melissa's book and read her amazing stories and listening to her on the radio show that she has online, I strongly encourage you to do so. That's fascinating. So thank you so very much, Melissa.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you guys. What a pleasure to meet you. It was really fun. I enjoyed it. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, likewise. And thank you for being an inspiration. Those stories, just what you shared and the little bit I was able to glean just off Instagram, I can see why you got the review that you did on your book, which was fantastic. So
It's very kind. Thank you.
you're welcome. So, all right, winners, that'll do it for this Wanderlust Wednesday. Thanks again to our special guest, Melissa, and please check out in the description all the different ways you can contact her as well as to get her Amazon best-selling book. And that'll wrap it up for today's episode. So please be sure to share, subscribe, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. And thanks again to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode, and to our special guest, Melissa. So that'll wrap it. We'll see you next week with winners on our next Wanderlust Wednesday.
Bye, winners.
Take care.